Hello everybody, this is Roy from New York Tea Society, and this is another edition of Yi Tian Yi Cha, one day, one tea. As you can tell, today I'm in a different surrounding. I'm actually in my backyard right now. It's a beautiful day. We're 60s, 70s, beautiful, cool, refreshing day, and I figured I'll do some tea outside in the backyard instead of being inside of the studio. So today's selection is going to be Bai Mudan, white peony. This is a white tea. So white tea, and it is from Fuding in Fujian County, Fujian Province, China. If you notice, there are bud and leaf, one bud and a leaf or two. All right. I keep around a bigger gaiwan because I usually have groups of 8 to 12 people when I go out. It's a little bit larger than what you would need, but for your typical 110 ml gaiwan, you should use around 5 grams of tea. And white tea, you can do low temperature or high temperature, but you'll just have to change the brewing time. I am going to use high temperature. I'm going to go ahead and use boiling for this. And I'm warming up my vessel right now so that we can smell the aromas of the tea. And then I'm going to take these fresh leaves and I'm going to put them in. This is perfect tea to drink right now at this time. So white tea has 4 main pickings, right? The first one, and probably the most expensive and the most desired, is silver needle. So when the plant first starts sprouting, it's going to sprout the bud first, and those buds should be big, fat, and plump. And they usually use the Bai cultivar, which is it means big white. And this cultivar particularly has these fat buds that you want in the silver needle. So they're going to come around and do their first picking and pick out all of the nicest buds that they can find. The ones that are left behind, they're going to come back about 2 weeks later or so, and they're going to pick from those. But now the buds will have opened up. The bud opens up into a leaf and then 2 leaves, right? So now you have the 2 leaves with the bud, and you end up with something that looks like this. The hairy white one is the bud, and then you have the leaves that have opened up around it. And this will be your picking for Bai Mudan. Let's brew this, and then I'll tell you the next picking. So since I have boiling water, it'll be a quicker brew than it would be if you were using, you can go down to 180 on white teas, but you will have to brew it longer, maybe about 2 minutes or so, or even longer. So let's go ahead and taste this tea, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about it. It's getting kind of like a melon rind, honeydew melon rind, and honeysuckle, and cut grass, all in one. This is very, very nice. But let's continue with what white tea is. So if we were to allow this to continue growing, the leaves will completely open up. And I'm going to skip the 3rd picking right now and go straight to the 4th picking. The 4th picking is called Shomei, or longevity eyebrow. All right, so the 4th picking is just the full leaves, no buds, and they're dried out. All right. And then the 3rd picking actually is in between Bai Mudan and the longevity eyebrow and the Shomei. So there was an emperor who once requested for the Gongmei, but the farmer, of course, didn't want to give him all of the old, overgrown leaves, so he decided to do a picking that was closer to Bai Mudan, so the leaves didn't look as old, and that would be called Gongmei, or tribute eyebrow. So those are the 4 pickings. You have silver needle, Bai Mudan, Gongmei, and Shomei. Now all 4 of these white teas are made the same way. They are picked, wilted, and then they're laid out to allow the sun to dry them. It sounds very, very simple. However, it is a little more complicated than what it sounds because you do need to have the right amount of humidity and heat in order for that to happen. If the sun is too hot, then it's going to burn the leaves and the leaves won't be dry yet. If it's not hot enough or there's too much humidity in the air, it'll never dry. And you need the right combination of the two. So nowadays what's happening is that they're using mostly machines to do this process. They may lay it out in the sun to start the process off, but then they'll put it into a machine, set the temperatures correct, and the end result, according to them, is always perfect because you have the right amount of heat and humidity in order for the oxidation and the drying to happen simultaneously. My opinion, it's always better when it's completely sun-dried, because I do feel, and again, I have a chef background, and I do feel that sun-dried items are better than machine-dried. I feel that the sun adds something to it. It adds a flavor to it that you can't get from electric heating. But that is my opinion, and that can be debated. But yes. So white tea, you can imagine, since the process is fairly straightforward, it has been around for quite some time. However, the white tea that we drink today, those pickings that I just mentioned, they are more recent. I believe it was the very late 1700s. I think 1795 or somewhere around there, when white tea, the type of white tea that we know today, that's when it was actually introduced. And that happened in Fuding. Not shortly after that, another area called Zhenghe also started to produce white tea. It was not until then that this style of white tea is in the public's eye. It was probably being drinking because of the straightforward process that it is, pick, wilt, and sun-dry, but it was not commercially known until it was introduced in Fuding in the 1790 something. Now, I'm gonna give this one more minute, not a minute, but a few more seconds. Now, there is one other type of white tea, and that would be aged white tea. Right? Then I'm talking about the Fuding white teas. Now you have white tea everywhere. You have white tea from India, from Yunnan. The white tea from Yunnan is called Moonlight White, is very, very popular and has its own characteristics in itself. You also have the white tea, which I did in one of my earlier episodes, from Vietnam, the Shantuit white tea. So you have white tea coming from all regions now, but originally it was from Fuding. And the next category, they call it Lao Bai Cha, or aged white tea. Aged white tea is usually done with shomei or gongmei, with the bigger leaves, because they take up a lot of room, a lot of space, and they don't sell quite as quickly as Silver Needle or Bai Mudan. So if you press them into a cake, you can store them easily. They take up less space, and the added benefit is they're worth more. When they started marketing, a lot of people think aged white tea goes far back, but aged white tea is actually a product that came much later, not until after 2000 is when aged white tea became a thing. And it happened, there was a poem that went along with it that was a marketing poem, but also it has a sense of truth to it too. Therefore, it was very very helpful in the promotion of aged white tea. 1 year tea, 3 years medicine, 7 years a treasure. So yes, it started out for marketing reasons, but however, there is truth to that. After that 7-year range, not exactly the 7 years, right? But around the 7-year range, the tea starts taking on, it's developing all the time, right? So that's why they say after 3 years, it starts tasting like medicine, and after 7 years, it becomes a treasure, because it does become a fantastic tasting tea that is probably, it feels when you're drinking it that it's a completely different category from this, right? If you've enjoyed listening to this description of this white tea and you want to learn more about other teas, keep joining us. We have a different tea to brew every day, and we'll give you little bits of information like this on a daily basis. So until tomorrow, when we do our next tea,